Brilliant. Welcome, guys. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Welcome to the pre-market overview. Today is Monday, September 7th. And like I said, welcome. So for those that may not know me, my name is Becky. You can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com, if you have any questions about anything I cover. There's also the support team. So support@tradewithufos.com. Those guys being a team, often quicker at responses as well. So you've got that email address, support@tradewithufos.com. So for those that may not have joined us before on the pre-market overview, what is it? What do we do? What's the point? Basically, the upshot of what we do on the overview is we cover our newsletter. So the newsletter is sent out every day, Monday to Friday. And on that newsletter, we talk about 4 of the major markets in the world, volatility, news, direction that is expected to happen based on technology, where price might turn, as well as probabilities based on the direction of the market. So we go through quite a lot of those 4 major markets in the world, but it's a 2-page document. So for those that maybe aren't used to the technology or maybe need a little bit more background or understanding as to how we got to those conclusions, we do the pre-market overview for 15-20 minutes and just explain it and expand on it a little bit more. So if you want to join the newsletter and get that subscription, and we'll send it to you Monday to Friday every day before the market's open, you can email us newsletter@tradewithufos.com and we'll put you on that subscription list. So for those that are joining us from within the TradewithuFos channel, welcome back, guys. Hope you guys are doing okay. Just a reminder of what you've got coming up today. So today being a Monday, you have futures at 9 a.m. Eastern and then options at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's what you've got coming up today. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's when you're going to have stocks and investing. And over the weekend is when we have sharpening sessions. So those are going to be psychology sessions, as well as methodology and reinforcing concepts and ideas as well. In terms of upcoming live courses, and again, that's from whether you're within the TradewithuFos channel or not, it might be things that you want to learn about and get a foundation on. The next class is the backtesting class. That's next weekend. So not this one coming, but the one after, September 19th to 20th. And we've got futures, stocks, psychology, and trading plans. So we've got all of those coming up. At the moment, you can see the dates there on the screen. Now, I just need to put the disclaimer up here. So I'm not going to read it because it'll take me a while, but it is important, obviously, that you guys understand the disclaimer and understand the legal situation. So basically, in a nutshell, what we're saying is that trading, of course, carries a risk. You need to be aware of that risk and you need to be able to manage it. And everything that we do, it's investment, educational content, ideas, demonstrations. It's not meant to be trading advice or trading tips or anything like that. It's just meant to be educational for you to understand these concepts. Now, you can learn more about the disclaimer at www.youcantrade.com and you'll get additional disclosure information on there and understand it a bit better. Or, of course, you can come back and read this if you want to a bit later. Okay, one more reminder for you guys. We do have an app on the App Store. So that's the You Can Trade app. So if you've got an iPhone, then by all means, you can join us on your phone. If you're on Android at the moment, watch this space. It will be coming. But for those that have Apple phones or Apple products already, then you can get it from the App Store. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go and have a look at the newsletter. So on the right here, this is our newsletter. This is what we send out every day. And like I said, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. So we've got the S&P, which is one of the major equity indexes in the world, or indices. We have oil and gold, obviously major commodities. And then the euro. The euro is one of the highest traded currencies in the world, especially when we look at it as the euro versus the US dollar. So between these 4 markets, obviously some of you guys might not trade any one of these directly, but I'm sure there are lots of correlations with markets that you do trade, because these are 4 major markets with lots and lots of orders, lots and lots of volume moving through every single one of them. Now, for each of the charts I'm going to show you, we're going to use a daily time frame. So, of course, different things happen on different time frames. If you use much bigger time frames or much smaller time frames, of course, there's going to be a difference there as to what's going on. Obviously, the daily is quite common. That's what's used by a lot of people, hence why we use the daily chart there. Now, for each of the markets, I'm going to go through them one by one, and we're going to look at a few things. So first thing we're going to look at is climate. Climate tells us in which direction is the market moving. Effectively, it's trend, but it's more important than that because it's saying what's the probability associated with that trend. So what's the market environment? Are we moving upwards? Are we moving downwards? And what's the probability associated? What we also want to understand is propagating. Propagating gives us an idea of if we're going up already, how long can we expect to keep going up for? We're going down already. How long can we expect to keep going down for? Based on what normally happens, based on the statistics, based on the probabilities there. So on the right-hand side here on the newsletter, this is us showing you what normally happens. So what that means is how many candles in that direction does the market normally go? On the left-hand side, we see where we're at now relative to that. So again, it gives us an idea of whether we're likely to see price continue to move up or down, or whether or not we're likely to see more of a change in direction and see price turn. Now, again, just because things are probable does not mean that they are guaranteed or definite. So, of course, we manage our risk just in case we're wrong. But again, with the climate and the propagating, we're using probabilities and statistics to give us an idea of in which direction the market is moving now and for how long it's going to do that. What we also want to understand is nearest UFOs. So UFO stands for unfilled orders. What that means is where we expect there to be big buy orders in the market, or a big stack of buy orders in the markets that could push it upwards, or a big stack of sell orders that could push it downwards. We use our Auto UFO app to highlight these on a chart to us. So we can see here on the left-hand side, we've got some green bands with little flying saucers in, UFOs. Those are showing us where the buy orders are. If they were red, then it would show us where the sell orders are. I'll show you this properly in a minute. So we want to understand where the UFOs are. We use the Auto UFO to find that for us. And for the climate and propagating, we use the Autoclimate App, which is what we see here over on the left-hand side at the bottom of the chart. Again, I'll get into that in a minute. So we go through each of those things per market. What I'll also explain is the volatility for each market. Volatility just means how far can we expect these markets to move within given periods of time. So we look at the current implied volatility column, and you'll see here that all of these are percentages. So what these numbers reference is the expected movement up or down in 1 year as a percentage of its current value. So what's the movement that we can expect up or down from an annualized perspective every year, or in 1 year as a percentage of the value now? Now, from that, we can reverse engineer that and understand what we expect to happen per day, up or down. So what's the movement we expect up or down in a day, up or down in a week, and up or down in a month. So we can understand from each of these time periods what we can expect in terms of movement up or down. Once we've done that, we'll come on to news. So lots to get through. We're going to start with the S&P, and we'll go through everything for the S&P, and then we'll move on and so on. So S&P on the left-hand side, the symbol there is $SPX.X. That's the symbol on TradeStation for the index of the S&P 500. I'm just going to move it a little bit here so we can see the numbers and maybe spread it out a bit. There you go. Might be a bit bigger, easier for you to see. Okay, so on the bottom here, we have our Autoclimate app. Now, the Autoclimate app is analyzing market trends for us, analyzing market data for us, and it comes back with one of three things. So either it will show us a thick blue dot. That tells us that we're in a confirmed upwards climate, meaning we've got an upwards trend, market's moving in an upwards direction, and that we have probabilities to the upside. That would be a thick blue dot. Or it can show us a thick red dot, which is what we see here. A thick red dot tells us that we're in a confirmed downwards climate, that we have movement to the downside, we have a downwards trend, and that we have probabilities to the downside. Or it can show us a thin dot of either color. So the color still tells us the direction, whether or not it's up or down, but the fact that it's thin, that's the Autoclimate app's way of telling us we lack probabilities, we lack statistical advantage. So most of the time on days like that, when we have unconfirmed climates, we have lower probabilities, we choose to do nothing. Here at Tradictive, it's all about putting as many probabilities as we can in our favor based on technology giving us those probabilities. So if the Autoclimate app tells us that there's lack of probabilities, we tend to keep away. So in this example, we have a thick red dot. So confirmed downwards climate, probabilities there to the downside. Now, in terms of the UFOs, closest buy orders and sell orders, you'll see that there are no sell orders on this chart, no sell UFOs, no red bands. And that's because, it's also blank over here, that's because there are none. There are no sell orders above us. We've obviously very recently hit all-time highs. I know we've had this drop off in the last couple of days towards the end of last week, but we have really no sell orders above us, hence why we have no sell UFOs. In terms of buy UFOs, we have this closest one here. That's at 3294.61 to 3284.53. So closest stack of buy orders as shown to us there by the green UFO. So we saw that we had a confirmed downwards climate. We show you that here on the newsletter by showing you a red arrow pointing downwards. Now, how long can we expect it to keep going down? So we see that normally the S&P would go down for 3.69 candles. I'm going to round it up to 4. So 4 candles, it goes down on a daily chart. So 4 days it would go down for. And normally now we are on candle number 1. So we are at the start of what is a normal move to the downside of 4 candles, meaning we have probabilities of a continuous move there to the downside. So it looks like for the S&P, bit of pressure to the downside at the moment. Again, probabilities there to the downside. Just because it's probable doesn't mean it's definite. Manage your risk just in case, but probabilities to the downside there for the S&P. Now, in terms of volatility for the S&P, we look at the VIX, and we see from that we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 30.75%. What that means is, in 1 day, we'd expect a movement up or down of 0.66 points. In 1 week, we expect a movement up or down of 1.46 points. And in a month, we expect a movement up or down of 3.04 points. Again, that gives us the idea of how far price is likely to move up or down within these given periods of time. The climate and the propagating give us an idea of in which direction we're likely to see that happen. Okay, next market, we're going to look at oil. So at CL, that's the continuous futures contract for oil. Just going to move it a little bit there again, just so we see what we need to see, maybe spread it out a bit more again. Okay, so Autoclimate App on the bottom here, once again, thick red dot, confirmed downwards climate, probabilities to the downside. Closest stack of buy orders all the way down here, 26.31 to 25.80. And you'll notice it's just on top of another one there. So 2 buy orders stacked together there. Closest stack of sell orders just above us, that was newly formed the other day, 41.37 to 41.87. Now, we see that we would have a confirmed downwards climate, so we show that here again on the newsletter. Now, normally, oil would go down for 7 candles, and we're on candle number 5. So, by the way, anything on the right-hand side, I'm going to round it up, whatever the decimal place is. So, 7 candles to the downside normally, and we're on candle number 5. So still probabilities of a continuous move to the downside, at least for a couple of days. Plus, we have the presence of new sell orders that have come in the last few days on top of us. So we have a lot of selling pressure at the moment here on oil. So again, probabilities to the downside there for oil, and that it could last for another couple of days. Again, manage our risk just in case. In terms of volatility, we use OVX.X. And we see from that we would expect a movement up or down in a year on oil of 44.02%. What that means is in a day, a movement up or down of 1.08 points. In a week, a movement up or down of 2.39 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 4.97 points. So that's oil. Let's look at the next market. We're going to look at gold at GC. Okay, here we go. This is at GC, continuous futures contract for gold. So, didn't mean to do that. So once again, we have a thick red dot. We have a confirmed downwards climate, probabilities to the downside on gold as well. Closest stack of buy orders is here, 1836.7 to 1825.9. And closest stack of sell orders shown to us there by our red UFO, just above us there at 1973.7 to 2001.2 or 2001.2, however you say it. You can see it. So those are the orders that we have. Now, again, with gold, we have a confirmed downwards climate. Normally, gold would go down for 3 candles. Again, I'm just rounding that up, and we're on candle number 3. So statistically, we have come to the end of what is likely in terms of a continuous move to the downside. Now, we do have sell orders closer to us, so selling pressure just above us there, and buy orders a little bit further below. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a bit more of a movement there to the downside. But again, based on statistics, we've come to the end of that, based on what's likely to happen. Of course, things fall outside of probabilities and outside of statistics as well. But at the moment, we don't have as much probabilities as we did have on the prior markets of seeing a continuous move there. So just bear that in mind. So for gold, we look at GVZ.X or GVZ.X. And we see from that we would expect a movement up or down of 21.98% in 1 year, which means in a day, a movement up or down of 26.8 points. In a month, a movement up or down of 58.9 points. Sorry, so that was in a week. 58.9 points in a week, and in a month, 122.6 points up or down. Right, last market, we're going to look at the Euro-US dollar. That is the spot forex currency pair, the Euro versus the US dollar. So I'm just going to squidge this a bit just to show you all of the buy orders we have beneath us and just move it a bit there. There we go. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom here, This is the first market that's showing us something slightly different. It's still a red dot, but it's thin. So what that means is that the Autoclimate app is telling us that we do have movement to the downside, but that it's unconfirmed. There's less probabilities, less statistical advantage there to the downside. We show you that on the newsletter. We still show you a downwards pointing arrow because it's still a red dot, but we put a little cross there next to it. That's us telling you that it's an unconfirmed climate. Again, lack of probability. Now, in terms of stacks of orders, we have a whole bunch of buy orders beneath us. We can see that there. Green UFO on top of green UFO on top of green UFO. Many, many of them. So lots of buying pressure underneath us. Closest one is this one here at the top, 1.1597 to 1.1507. Just rounded that there to the pip. Closest stack of sell orders just above us here, 1.1901 to 1.2012. Again, just rounded that where it needs to be. So lots of buying pressure beneath us and an unconfirmed sort of undecided climate in terms of the trend or the movement up or down. So when it comes to the movement up or down, when it comes to the trend, normally the euro US dollar would go down for 4 candles and we're on candle number 3. So we are coming to the end of what would be a usual move to the downside. But again, bear in mind, it's been an improbable move to the downside, an unlikely move to the downside, which means that potentially it might be that it kind of becomes confirms and then starts this sell orders to the downside, or it might be that it starts to turn and go back up. At the moment, the lack of probabilities doesn't really give us one direction, one way or the other. So again, we tend to keep away. And again, bear in mind, we have sell orders just above us, but we have a whole bunch of buy orders beneath us. So again, different signals here telling us different things. Normally best to keep away on markets where we don't have statistical advantage one way or the other. Now, in terms of volatility, movement up or down on the euro, we look at EVZ.X, and we see from that we expect a movement up or down in a year of 7.67%, which means in a day, a movement up or down of 57 pips, in a week, up or down of 126 pips, and in a month, up or down of 262 pips. So again, volatility gives us an idea of how far we're likely to see these prices move within given periods of time. The climate gives us an idea of in which direction that's likely to happen. And with propagating and nearest UFOs, we see where that movement or that direction of price might turn and go the other way. So that's everything in terms of direct forces. I'm going to show you some indirect forces now. So what I mean by that is that the most direct force we have in a market to move it up or down are buy orders and sell orders. That's it. Buying and selling. That's what moves the price of anything. Now, of course, there can be many reasons as to why that are buy and sell orders. So we do need to understand indirect forces as well that contribute to those orders. So we do need to understand as well things like news. Now, what we do is we go to fxstreet.com/economic-calendar and we filter by high impact news. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that a bit bigger there. Zoom in. There we go. Let me zoom out one bit. There you go. So we filter by high impact news and by US markets. So of course, if you trade outside of those things or you want to look at lower impact news, you can go to the website and change the filters there to see what you want to see. So for us, we filtered by high impact news and US markets, and we see here that the first thing we have this week for the whole of the week that could bring orders with it is not until Friday. So Friday will be the first lot of news that we have that we expect to happen that could increase volatility or cause orders to be added or cancelled. So again, bear that in mind. It is an indirect force. It's not as impactful as the presence of buy or sell orders just by themselves. That's why we use the UFOs. But just bear in mind that there will be things that come up that can impact the markets as well. And use that in your trade plan as you will, as you see that makes the most sense for your trade plan. Okay, so just a reminder then, for those joining us within the Tradictive channel, you have futures and options today, 9 a.m. Eastern for futures and 1 p.m. Eastern for options. If you're not already part of the fun and you want to join, you can come to tradictive.com/you-can-trade and you can try us out for a couple of weeks there. So that's our stocks, investing, futures, options, psychology, sharpening sessions that you have access to as part of the channel. Try us out for a couple of weeks, see if you like it, go from there. If you don't, you can just cancel the subscription. If you do, then at least you've had a couple of weeks to really know that it's for you for free before moving forwards. In terms of classes, like I said before, the next one we have is the backtesting class. If you want to learn more about what that is and how we do that and how we do the class, you can go to tradictive.com/backtesting live. At the moment, you can register for any course and get an additional course for free. So the second one that you pick has to be of equal or lesser value than the first one. So if you go to the website, you can have a look at the courses that we do, the ones that suit you better, and then put them together in such a way where you make the most out of that deal. If you have any questions on anything, it doesn't have to be courses or subscriptions. If it's technology or platform or trading questions in general, we're always happy to help. The support team is full of traders, so you can email us support@tradewithufos.com and we are happy to help. So that's me done for today. I hope you guys have a good day in the markets. Hope they treat you well. I'll be back tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, to go over the overview. Again, we'll see you in the sessions if you're part of Tradictive, but if not, I will see you in the morning. Have a good day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.